Hey guys, Daniel from Spacedock here for another rapid-fire news opinion piece, unscripted. This time we've got two new ships. We have the Radius, which is a Mon Calamari ship in service to the New Republic, later in service to the Resistance, and the Supremacy, which is the new Goliath First Order flagship. I'll start with that one. So, as was reported a while ago, this thing is shaped like a flying wing, which is a nice break from the norm for Star Destroyer designs. It's 60 kilometers in wingspan, which is just huge, just so huge. If you think about the Executor's 19 kilometers long, Covenant supercarrier from Halo is 28 kilometers long. This is a big ship, about half the length of the Death Star, half the width of the Death Star in width itself, which is the first Death Star, that is, which is just massive. Initially, I was thinking this is pretty silly. The First Order couldn't build this, etc. Same kind of things that I had with Starkiller Base. But later on, I found out that it's a mobile shipyard and a command post, and then I started to get into kind of rationalization. And really, I think if they were ever going to pool all of their resources into one massive, ridiculous project like this, a mobile shipyard and command post is actually a really wise decision given what kind of faction they are. And it occurred to us, we were discussing it, I thought maybe the First Order don't actually have any planets. Like they might, I don't know if there's canon to suggest they do. I've not researched that. But I thought possibly they could be sort of a roving nation, most of which are based on this ship, which would be a really original idea that I really like. If you look closely at the wings here, you can see indentations which I think might slot Resurgent class Star Destroyers, which fits nicely with the docking shipyard kind of parameters for this thing. Just overall, I really like the space frame. It's a really cool looking ship. It's got an absolutely massive number of engines on the back. It does say the central command headquarters for the First Order's fleet, so that doesn't rule out the idea that they might have a capital planet somewhere in the unknown regions. Certainly Snoke hangs around on this thing, so maybe it is just the seat of the entire nation. There is one thing that I don't like aside from the scaling issues, and that is the name. Well, I like the name Supremacy, that's a great name, but the class name is Mega Class, which is just terrible. I mean, really, Mega Class? It's like something out of Power Rangers. I mean, it doesn't take much originality to not just call it something so blatant like Mega Class. And honestly, it should be called Supremacy Class because it's the first of its class. And Supremacy Class is a great name, a really good name. It's a missed opportunity there. You can't take a name like Mega Class seriously. But maybe that's just me. I mean, I'm sure it's the only ship of its type, so I doubt it'll be very often referred to by its class name unless they suddenly start building more of these things. But I mean, I seriously doubt that given the engineering involved. So now let's go over to the Radius, which is a Mon Calamari ship. They call it a heavy cruiser, but I'm pretty sure that's just Star Wars using weird monikers for things again, because this really does look like a dreadnought to me. It's 3,000 meters long. It's far and away larger than any other Mon Calamari ship we've seen. I mean, it is entirely possible that there are way bigger Mon Calamari ships than this, and this is really just a heavy cruiser, and the fleet is that big in scale, but we've never seen it. The history of this I actually like. It was apparently built before the Galactic Civil War had properly ended, so before Jakku, and then was made part of the home fleet for the New Republic, and it's the only one left, I think, because there was always, of course, the big demilitarization project, and there was a disarmament treaty, and now this has just been handed over to the Resistance as their flagship. It's also worth pointing out that the interior shots in the trailer of a Mon Calamari ship may now be this. I originally assumed they were Home 1, because Before the Awakening establishes that Home 1 is the flagship of the Resistance. But this may have changed since then. Akbar might be commanding this thing now, and those shots might be inside that ship. But I mean, I still want to see Home 1. And the thing is, though, if this, because obviously its flight decks are getting blown up and stuff in the film, and I'm thinking maybe there'll be a big battle at the start of the film where the Resistance get properly hammered or something. And if this thing gets destroyed, it's going to be interesting. But I'm only going to be left there thinking it's a shame they missed the emotional opportunity to destroy Home 1. I mean, I like Home 1, I love Home 1, but as a filmmaker, it would be a far greater emotional punch if we saw that ship go down, this ancient ship that started its life as a passenger liner and saved the day at the Battle of Endor and is so intrinsically connected to the rebellion, and it finally goes down. It would really increase the threat of the First Order, rather than just blowing up this new ship. But either way, I'm happy to see a new ship on the prowl. Everyone, as soon as they saw this, went, Viscount Star Defender. It looks a lot like a Viscount Star Defender. It's 14,000 meters shorter than the production model of the Viscount Star Defender, but it looks very similar. And it's kind of nice to see the good guys have a relatively huge ship for a change. I mean, this is only barely bigger than a Resurgent class, which is sort of a standard ship of the line for the First Order, but this would have been a much greater threat a few years earlier. And I think the big upshot we can take from all this, really, all these ship announcements, is that there's definitely going to be at least one serious space battle in The Last Jedi, which I'm pretty excited about, because it was all just atmospheric battles in The Force Awakens, and we hadn't really fleshed out the fleets of this time period yet and given them a proper chance to shine. And now the First Order have got not only a big, crazy flagship, but also a specialized dreadnought. And that means we're going to get a sort of tiered, faceted fleet with different aspects to it, and we'll actually see them working, which is so much better. It's so much better than just rolling out the next biggest ridiculous mega ship that does everything, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that's applied in the film. Oh, there's also the obvious fact that this ship is named after Admiral Raddus from Rogue One, which is a really cool shout out. Like that they did that. The guy, in the end, was one of the great heroes of the rebellion when you think about it. I mean, he basically sacrificed himself to get the plans sent away, which ultimately led to the defeat of the Empire in the long run, and he was clearly quite good at his job, so fair enough, name a big massive ship after the guy. Oh, and I'll also point out that they made an express point of mentioning that this ship is specifically designed to be less crew intensive and heavily automated and computerized so that it doesn't need a massive number of people on board, which I'm really glad they bothered to take the time to add to the lore, because it sort of stretches belief that the Resistance with their tiny little pocket of fighters would be able to crew this ginormous thing and still do other stuff. But yeah, overall, I like both the new designs. Shame they didn't tone down the size of the Supremacy a bit, but I'm willing to forgive it since it's basically a battle station and a shipyard. And on the other side, I'm glad to see a big Mon Calamari design, even though it does kind of suggest that the New Republic just fought with Mon Calamari ships like they did a lot in Legends. And I was kind of hoping there would be a whole wave of new, entirely original designs for the New Republic in the new canon, but I guess not. Either way, it's a cool design, and I'm happy to see it. Love to hear what you guys think in the comments below, and I will get back to you with a new proper video. There's actually a really cool ship being covered on Tuesday from Star Wars, and I'll see you then.